Dear Mr. Rector, distinguished guests, participants, friends, my dear students, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the city of Târgu Mureș, in the heart of Transylvania, one of the oldest, most famous and beautiful historical region in Romania, at George Emil Palade University of Medicine, Pharmacy, Science and Technology of Târgu Mureș. As a general chair of the 5 international conference, Semiosis in Communication, Medical Humanities, Bridges between Embodiment of Sign and Embodied AI, I give me the great pleasure and honor to extend to you all a very warm welcome on behalf of the local organizing committee. I wish to take this opportunity to welcome the almost 100 participants, attendants, professors, students, and researchers from 25 countries from all over the world who have joined us in this wonderful community. I also wish to welcome our Professor Culieta Haidar, Paul Cobley, Tiziana Migliore, Massimo Leone, Fernando Andacht, Maria Giulia Dondero, and Christian Bankov for coming to our campus. This year's edition comes in a challenging context for all of us, for society in general, and at a special moment for each of us. 10 years ago, we organized the first edition of this event. Academician Solomon Marcus had just enthusiastically accepted to be honorary president of our event. Unfortunately, in March, just a month after the passing of his dear friend, Professor Umberto Eco, he also left us. I would love to tell you more about the friendship of the two great titans of semiotics. Many of you have already enjoyed their generosity. For now, however, I invite you to keep a moment of 1 minute of reflection in the memory of two.
It's a real pleasure for me to welcome you in our university, which is not a common university because multicultural is right inside of this hall. And now I understand better your conference, because you are not about something, you are about everything. As our university, we are University of Medicine, Pharmacy, Science and Technology. It's covered more or less everything. And your topics, semiotics, connected with medicine, it's one of our strategic purpose for the next future. A few weeks ago, we applied at UNESCO for a chair of Medical Humanities. Our expectation is to be a winner, and starting with the next year, to have here in this university a chair of Medical Humanities. And I will switch a little bit in Romanian because medicina este mult diferită față de ceea ce era pe vremuri. Și o spun mai ales studenților, când eram în anii mici de facultate, învățam semiologie. Semiologia în termen medical and semiotics seems to be the same, but it is not the same. Semiology is about science, medical science. Semiotics about how we can understand what is not very concrete, what is not very objective. And here is a gap between doctors and the rest of the people. Your duty is to come here and to explain us, to the doctors, to explain everybody why we are so complex. And what's happened with this AI, my philosophical question, we are in the front to discover Frankenstein or not, and where are the limits and where are the advantages?
It's very complicated for me to be here because I'm an engineer like formation, and when the professor invited me here to have a speech, I said, okay, from energy, what can I say? But I understand the semiotics is very simple. A strong country provides strong messages. If we have energy, if we have nuclear, if we have everything what is going on, that means we are a strong country. if we have vulnerabilities, that means we are not so strong. So I think it's very simple to explain this. In my vision, in the medieval era, the strongest of a country was presented by the walls, by the concrete, by the army. Right now, in our century, I think that the main idea is energy. If we have energy, we can provide an image of strong country. And also, I stayed here and I want to express a question for you and a duty for you to explain to the whole politicians they must to collaborate between them and to express them in the real time and the real life, not only on the paper with words they are not understanding.
I'm delighted to be here at this beautiful town and beautiful campus and to be attending this event again. I was at the first Semiosis in Communication conference 10 years ago, and that provides enough food for thought as far as I'm concerned, because the possibility of doing one event of this kind is remarkable, but to keep it going for 10 years in different locations as well is quite astonishing. And I think that in order to appreciate that, we have to think about the work that went into it, and we have to think about the leadership. And I would point, of course, to my colleagues Sorin and Palade Dragon and the work that they've done all throughout that period and intensively during the period of the conferences. We established a tradition when I was involved in the Bureau of the International Association for Semiotic Studies, whereby we honoured what we would call congenial conveners, or for short, congeners, which is not an English word, it's a composite of congenial and convener. And so far we honoured Calavi Cool and Aeroterasti, absolute titans and giants, as we say, of semiotics, and titans and giants of convening and congening, if I can use the new word. So when I speak of Sorin Dragon in the same breath as Calavi Cool and Aeroterasti, it's the biggest tribute that I could possibly pay in that respect. So I wish everyone a great conference over the next few days. In the past, it's been a fantastic conference. Do engage with people in terms of the academic papers. But just one little anecdote to tell you. I met a young woman at the first conference in 2016, and she came to me after she'd given her paper and asked me my opinions on her paper, and I gave my opinions, and we remained in correspondence. That woman in 2024 staged, I think, was one of the greatest international association congresses in Warsaw. It was Olga Lisichka, and it was just a chance meeting that I had at this conference. So take your opportunity over the next couple of days to do the networking as well as doing the intellectual engagement.
I'm glad to convey the greetings of the International Association for Semiotic Studies, especially on the occasion of this venue, for the 5th edition of the International Conference Semiosis in Communication, Medical Humanities, Bridge between Embodiment of Science and Embodiment AI. These greetings are indeed literally the saluti, salutari, salve, salute in the etymological Latin and Romance sense of wishing good health. Not just and not primarily of the ISS governing leadership or of its bureau, but on behalf of the ISS entire community. In the ISS identity card, written at the beginning of our mandate with the President Jacques Fontany and the contribution of many members of the association who responded to our call, the relationship between care for meaning and the meaning of care is strong. I quote from the official text of the card: "Semiotics is a discipline that cares about how meaning and communication are created and understood in the natural and cultural environments of all kinds of beings, human and non-human alike." So, as scholars concerned with the production, circulation, and reception of meaning, we are attentive to what happens in the world. Semiotics was originally the only field, semiotics was originally the only field of study to be called semiotics or semiology, and where research is actually done by connecting the internal relations between certain signs and the manifestation of symptoms in the communicative relationship between patient and doctor. In any kind of investigation, I think the nexus between semiotics and semiotics go beyond the similarities in procedures for the correspondence between the visible and the enunciable, Michel Foucault, for the thought from the outside that he used in both semiotics and semiotics. Clearly, one of the most important tasks of semioticians is not only to take care of meaning in communication, but also to be able to communicate meaning effectively. We live in an era that is extremely complex, marked by new and shifting interactions between humans and technologies. Managing this complexity is complex. As semioticians, we have at least three options: to reduce the complexity of the reality in which we live, but this would mean sacrificing its syntactic and semantic richness. Second, to explain it by adopting a technical language appropriate to its level of complexity, a choice that would, however, restrict the explanation to insiders and specialists only, resulting in an elitist form of communication confined to circle of experts. Third possibility, to strive to translate the complexity of meaning into verbal and visual languages that are also accessible to the general public for educational purposes. The third option seems to me the most promising, since semioticians can act as mediators, as intercessors for doctors and techniques, diagnosis and therapies in the connection between bodily signs and symptoms and interpretative processes, that is, again, the tie visible and enunciable. Personally, I've always had a soft spot for the medical profession. I would choose it in another life, so medical studies, which works to improve patients' health conditions and to save life. I usually think and say that semiotics resembles medicine because it is a science of social care. It allows us to perceive the distortions and hidden opacities of society and to make them explicit, to communicate them. Semioticians too practice an art of care through the analysis and reading of meaningful processes, which, however, concerns not individual bodies, but social corporate. We therefore find ourselves, perhaps as never before, in the right place, an entire medical university. Thank you for this invitation, for your invitation, which I feel closer to my own way of understanding knowledge as something that benefits others. I wish all a wonderful conference.
Agradezco mucho la invitación del doctor Sorin para estar en ese evento. Ya es la segunda vez que venimos. Para nosotros cruzar el océano es importante, llegar de América a Europa porque es una forma de hacer un diálogo concreto entre latinoamericanos y europeos, y en ese sentido venimos, ¿no? Me perdone que hable en portuñol, entre español y portugués, pero como el rumano es una lengua neolatina, puede ser que entiendan 10% o 15% de lo que estoy hablando. Entonces, nosotros hemos traído a ese evento 15 colegas de México, representando a México, y para nosotros es un gusto estar aquí participando con ustedes. Ese evento de semiótica y comunicación que el doctor y el amigo Sorin siempre está realizando, nos parece que es muy importante como un espacio de diálogo en ese mundo en donde la comunicación está perdida, ¿no? Lo que hay es conflicto. O sea, la idea de la semiótica y la comunicación es un elemento importante de recuperar en varias partes, ¿no? En varias dimensiones, porque en el mundo actual lo que vemos es que la comunicación no está, es una ausencia. Entonces la semiótica, desde la posición ética, creemos que es un elemento, un campo muy importante para desarrollar, y qué bueno que en la facultad que está el doctor Sorin, esa facultad de medicina, la semiótica también está en la medicina, pero tiene otro sentido, ¿no? Los médicos estudian la semiótica, pero con otro sentido en relación a lo que estudiamos en la comunicación, en la cultura, en la producción simbólica tan importante, ¿no? Entonces, agradecemos mucho la oportunidad de ese diálogo. Creo que es muy importante, además de las interacciones digitales, es muy importante la interacción personal con los colegas, ¿no? Encontrarnos de nuevo, poder dialogar, poder discutir, poder asumir varias tendencias y aspectos que son importantes en el campo de la semiótica de sentido. Y más ahora, no me gustaría mucho, pero voy a tener que mencionar la inteligencia artificial, pero no me gusta mucho por la cosa de la moda, de la inteligencia artificial, pero yo creo que la inteligencia artificial produce dentro de la semiótica caminos muy interesantes, que varios colegas de nosotros que están aquí presentes han trabajado, siguen trabajando mucho en eso, justamente para descubrir nuevas producciones de sentido dentro del siglo XXI, ¿no? O sea, ya no estamos en una semiótica del siglo XIX o del siglo XX, sino que hay un salto cualitativo con la cibernética y con el desarrollo de la inteligencia artificial. Pero en ese desarrollo hay caminos positivos y negativos. El camino positivo es que permite un avance del conocimiento muy rápido con la inteligencia artificial, muy cambiante, pero por otro lado, la inteligencia artificial tiene un problema con la ética, la ausencia de ética. Es un problema muy severo, principalmente porque se produce en las redes el problema de la posverdad, el problema de la no información. Y en ese sentido es que en el mundo actual tenemos ese desafío, cómo vencer, ¿no?, en las redes la falta de ética, la falta de información, sino que lo que encontramos es una desinformación. Entonces, en esa contradicción y esa ausencia de ética es donde nos situamos actualmente, haciendo una posición, una reflexión crítica de qué será el futuro que ya está aquí, ¿no? Un futuro fascinante, por supuesto, muy fascinante, pero un futuro que trae aspectos positivos y también aspectos muy negativos.
I was just thinking about the great felicitous choice of the title of this conference, Breaches, right? Breaches, when we need more than ever precisely what Peirce, the semiotician, have been working for the last almost 50 years, said that the sign is a medium of communication. What is a bridge if it's not a medium? And we need it more than ever in this world full of war and misunderstanding and distorted communication. So I think it's a great choice for a great Congress. I thank very much my friend and colleague Sorin for the invitation to participate in this, as Peirce call it, the one-ment, he said, of religion and science. I would say the humanities and science. And my last thought is that what we need more than ever is to fight against, in the most, I would say, peaceful way, dualism. Either artificial intelligence or humanities. No, it is the continuity, what he called the synergism of both, right? And what we need is the development of what he calls scientific intelligence. By that, Peirce meant an intelligence capable of learning, that is, human beings.
I'm really thankful to this prestigious university that shines for the quality of its studies, especially in medicine, not only in Romania, not only in Europe, but all over the world. And in particular, I'm thankful to my friend and colleague Sorin, who is always able, wherever he is, to gather positive energy around him. And I must say that I see that his energy has now found the energy of a suitable university that matches this dynamism. The topic that was chosen for this conference is excellent. Well, there is, of course, the glorious tradition of studies in medicine of this university. Just walking around my hotel, I saw a plaque yesterday commemorating Mert Orvalski, who was a Jewish doctor who already in the 1920s, 1930s, was very famous all over Europe for pioneer studies on headache in children. So it's a very long tradition of scientists and doctors from this university and this city who become famous all over Europe. And but it is also very well chosen because artificial intelligence is changing every aspect of our life. Is changing every profession, and of course it's changing medicine. It has been said before that at the origin of semiotics there is also the interest for symptoms, for medical science. Well, through artificial intelligence now we see the emergence of new science. Through artificial intelligence we can detect new patterns in the face, in the voice, and the body, using instruments. This might give enormous power to contemporary and future medicine. It doesn't go without problems, of course, the problems of ethics, the problems of privacy, problems of data. But at the same time, we have to place semiotics at the articulation of medicine and ethics, medicine and engineering as well, because also engineers are participating in this new race, in order to study this new science, take advantage of this new knowledge, and improve the human condition.